I was a kid, bro. What do you guys want me to do, man? Sorry for listening to kid stuff.
It's alright, man. Just
Rather-
don't do it again, innit?
Someone that would rather me listen to Tupac every day of my life at the age of 13. What the fuck are we doing here? It's the same guy that watched High School Musical 1, but I can't listen to Little Romeo.
High school, musical.
Hey, first High School Musical bangs.
First one bangs. It's
First one.
the
Get your-
start.
Get your head in the game.
Gotta
Get your head in the game.
Get up, pump it.
You know,
Fuck,
losers, man.
Yo, remember that one?
And they synchronize that as
your-
well.
Get your head in the game. You gotta get your head in the game. You gotta straight line.
Okay, that's where you lost me. That's where you lost me.
What?
I don't know the rest of the words.
Crazy. It's the start of something new. It feels so right to be here with you. Oh, what? Don't even get me started. Yeah, if you remind me of another one, I'll start singing that too.
Jakes, chat to your mans, man.
We're soaring.
Rain, flying, there's not a star in heaven that we can reach. If we're trying, it will make you free.
Yeah, I don't know.
And did you remember the last one?
I think you just said we're all in it together.
We're all in this together. Once we know where we are,
We're all stars and we've seen them.
True cheese, fam. And then the final one. What's the bop?
I don't know.
Remember, you got to bob to the top, slip inside your inhibition. Zip, zap, zap.
I think you were watching the director's cut. I
No,
remember that
remember that was the one. Remember Sharpay? Her and her brother.
Oh, Sharpay, Sharpay.
Remember Sharpay and her brother had a song?
Oh,
that
right.
they
Yeah.
done. Yeah, remember? Bop, bop, bop,
Oh,
bop to the top.
okay.
Slip and slide your inhibitions. Zip, zap, zap. And strut. Come on now. Let me get me started. That's your intro.
Yeah, it is, to be fair.
1, 2.
What's going on, world? Welcome to episode 87 of the Rhymes Like Dimes podcast with your boys Peter,
Yo.
Mohammed,
Yo.
myself, Yemi. New day, new pod, lads. How we doing today?
I'm blessed, man. How are you?
I'm
How
chilling.
are you both doing, man?
I'm good. God is
Yeah.
good all the time.
All the time, good is
All
good.
the time, good is
There we
good,
go.
man.
Amen.
Are you Yemi?
I'm good. I'm all right. I enjoyed the sing-along we just had.
Come on now, fam.
Shout out High School Musical.
Shout out High School Musical 1.
All day, all day. Shout out to Drake's in the cut as well.
As
Big up.
always,
Big
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 up
up, big
Drakes.
up, big up, big up. Big up everybody watching and listening as well. Shout out to the YouTube massive, the Spotify massive, SoundCloud massive, Apple Music massive, Apple Podcasts. Wait, I said the same thing. Apple Podcast massive, Amazon Podcast massive, and the Google Podcast massive as well. Appreciate you listening and watching as well. We're just going to get straight into it. We basically had a request from a fan who emailed us and had a topic in mind. And I'm just going to read out what he had to say. He said, nepotism has always had a place in the arts, sadly, and seems to be accepted as part of the pop music, film, etc. landscape. With hip-hop music being so young, it feels like it's an idea that's only just arriving. Yes, there was Little Romeo and a few others, but usually all quite gimmicky. But saw Corey Guns on the Math Hoffa podcast and heard all the doors his dad opened and got to thinking about King Combs, Coi Leray in the US, and others Frisco Sun and Gemma Sun releasing in the UK. People think there's a built-in meritocracy in rap that means you can't succeed if you're bad. But you could argue that skill is becoming less important than litness in mainstream culture. Plus, the people writing and gatekeeping culture are often themselves Nepo babies. I guess my question is nepotism a problem on the horizon in rap? It's a mouthful, but it's a very interesting topic. Obviously, nepotism is, it's just a thing that is so clear that it happens not just in rap, but in the world as well. So to focus on it on a rap perspective is very, very interesting. But right off the bat, guys, like, what do you guys think about that whole perspective of like nepotism, whether it's an issue or whether it's a good thing in rap?
It's not really something I thought about, man, because I feel like in rap, it's difficult to quantify it because like it's an art form where your skills is at the forefront of anything as far as being judged. So I don't see how nepotism can... I think it's difficult for it to be a thing. It can happen, but if you're whack, right?
Yeah, but if you're whacking, you still pop. Then does it work? Sorry, my fault. Do you get what I mean? Like, say for example, and this is just a throw in the dark, Coi Leray. I want to say her skills are amazing, but she's a Nepo baby.
But I don't think she got to where she was because of Benzino.
I don't think she got to where she went from Benzino, so that was understandable.
I
I
think
don't
that-
think that's a good example.
But I think the whole idea of nepotism is it was easier for her because of who Benzino is.
Was it though?
I mean, I don't know her story, but I imagine anybody who is in Benzino's position will try and make it as easy as possible for their child to get into the game if they knew they wanted to get into the game.
Yeah, but based on what I've heard, her relationship with him has been estranged from time as well. So I don't know how that could have played a factor in her getting into the game. And truth be told, man, like no one really rates Benzino like that anyway. They respect him for the source, but has he got enough pull to where he can position her?
He might just have more pull than the normal average human being, though.
Because I think he's got more fame from like Love and
Love and
Hip-Hop
Hip-Hop.
than the source.
But his pull's still more than the average person. So regardless, if your pull's still not a lot, you still have that advantage compared to a regular schmegular human being. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like even with his pull, which I agree, I think Love and Hip Hop is, not to make it about Benzino, I think he's more famous for Love and Hip Hop and whatever.
Beefing Eminem.
But that's what I was just about to say with that whack track. But you can't say that his name didn't help. At least maybe just get her in the door. Maybe not do more than that, but it might have just enough to open a couple of doors for her and have a couple of conversations with a couple of people.
Because he is still a name. Even if he is who we think he is, as being like not very significant in the landscape of rap, because he is who he is, I imagine once he heard that she wanted to be an artist, maybe things started going in his head as far as how he can help her, sort of thing. I mean, I suppose you could give the example of maybe Lil Romeo, you know, son of Master P, King Combs, you know, son of Diddy. I imagine, especially in the case of those two, where their fathers are such names in hip hop. So we're talking about the other side now, to where like, obviously Master P is No Limit and, you know, in Southern rap, like such a big figure, and obviously Diddy is Diddy. I imagine it would have been very easy for Lil Romeo and King Combs to just do whatever they wanted because of who their dads are, sort of thing. And I suppose that's what the argument is with the whole nepotism thing. Like, is it a problem because it's allowing people who aren't as necessarily skilled or maybe aren't as natural at the rap thing as others who don't have any familial connections in the game? Are they then taking up space?
But what's to say they're not natural at it just because of who their family is?
Well, I suppose it's like, if my dad is Diddy, I imagine there's going to be some kind of like, and I know he's not a rapper or anything like that, but because of who he is and because of, you know, his wealth and his status, I imagine there's a little bit of pressure attached to the idea of trying to live up to that.
Yeah.
So with that, I guess that can maybe influence how you move in the game, as far as if you're the son of someone or the daughter of someone, the type of music you might make, the kind of moves you might make, just to try and emulate or even keep up to this image that people have already put in your head that you're trying to chase up to your parents, sort of thing.
Right.
So there might be that. And I feel like in the case of, I mean, to be fair, I haven't listened to any of King Combs' music.
I've
I'm
listened
not-
to him.
He's his dad. I feel like.
Yeah, I've listened
I
to
feel
him.
like he's his
Would you
dad.
say he's good?
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right. He's not whack, but I heard that he's got ghostwriters.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I heard Mace has like helped him out and stuff.
Bro.
Yeah.
His music seems dated.
That's
Mate,
nep-
and young Chris, who was in the Young Guns that was signed to like Rockefeller. So.
No, but the Mace one makes sense.
that right there is nepotism.
The reason why I say Mace makes sense is when you listen to King Combs' music, it sounds dated. Like it sounds like
Because what? Because of what the sound?
because of the sound.
It sounds like 98.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He sounds like his dad, like to a T. The moving, the dancing, the bars, the lyrics, everything seems like Diddy 2.0. So just now when you said that, put two and two together, it makes sense.
But I don't see it as a problem though, because there aren't enough examples at a mediocre level to where it's diluting the art in any way. So it's not problematic to me yet. I think if it gets to a point to where more artists are coming in the game based on who they know and they're whack and they really, really pop, then it might be an issue. But until that time comes, it's not an issue because, like I said, like this is still an art form where your skills is like the thing that, you know, is propelled to the forefront as far as like whether you're respected or how you're received or seen in it. So I don't really see it being a problem, man, because there are examples of where nepotism hasn't really done much. Like T.I.'s got a son that raps. No one can
The
probably
money,
name.
it's the
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Do you know what I mean? So
It's not going nowhere.
the only artist that I can think of that I thought was going to go somewhere was Corey Guns, and he came in the game on the back of his pops.
Who's his pops?
Peter Guns.
Peter Guns.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, he had a tune back in the late 90s.
You would know that.
Shut up.
I know him from Love and Hip Hop.
With who else? What's his name? The
Lord
other guy.
Tariq.
Lord Tariq.
Yeah.
And then Jaden Smith's another one. But like Jaden Smith is
But
another
he's
baby.
not at that level.
No, I'm just saying, but when he first came, bro, he was 15, 14 rapping. Like with Justin Bieber and whatnot. That's off the back of Will Smith.
He's good though.
Like, is he?
Oh, I didn't know that he had a tune with Bieber.
He had a Bieber song like at the age of 14 from what I remember.
Childish
For
Gambino
Ka- for
featured
Ka-
him on a couple things.
For Karate Kid, I feel like it was for.
Okay.
When it was on Karate Kid, I feel like he had a song on it with Justin Bieber.
I feel like Jaden Smith. Well, I mean, recently when I last listened to his like music, I thought it was good music. I think before, obviously, he's a teenager. It's not as, and he's kind of like the more alt rap, cool kid type things. It's not gonna work for everybody, but generally, I feel like he makes decent music. So I'm not sure if that, and because he's doing so many other things as well as like acting, and he's got his water company as well. So I don't think it's as much of an issue. But to Peter's point, I feel like it is probably not an issue right now, and I'm all for rappers or executives or anyone involved in the rap game trying to give their kids a leg up if that's what they want. I feel like the world is built off that. Like people outside of rap do that all the time, so why not do it in rap sort of thing? I feel like it's about what you then do with that. Like how you mark out your own legacy, how you mark out your own impact sort of thing. It can't always be off the back of what your parents have done, because then there's going to be an asterisk next to you, I'd say. So it's all about doing what you can with it.
Is it always going to be more difficult for them? Because of the back of who they're coming from, depending on who their mother or father is.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged, because
yeah.
like you said, there's not one, like Damani, for example. One of the reasons I haven't really checked him out is because I'm listening to him. I'm just like, but it's you're always, it's unfortunate, but I feel like you're always going to compare them to their parent.
Yeah.
And if their parent is a great, it's always going to be a case of where, yeah, you're cool. Whereas with a new artist, there is no benchmark for them. It's just you're listening to it to listen to it. And then you've got a fresh set of ears. But if you're a Nepo baby, it's always going to be, depending on who, like Corey.
And I feel like they always end up falling off.
Yeah, but
look at Diggy Simmons.
Yeah.
Bro.
Do you know what I mean? They always end up falling off. Like Bow Wow.
Is Bow Wow a Nepo baby?
Yeah. I think that's like Snoop's nephew, no?
No.
You sure?
I don't think he is. I think he
They're
says
related?
Nephew. I think he says nephew, but I don't know if they're related for real. I know Ray J's related to Snoop, but I don't think Bow Wow's related to him for real.
Bow Wow was death row.
No, I hear that, but I don't know
because of Snoop.
I don't know if it was related. I always thought he was just.
I think
a
his mum.
kid.
I think he's related to his mum, though.
Oh, that's my fault. I always didn't know if they were. I know he was. But he was in Snoop's album. But I didn't know if they were related. So my fault.
Yeah, they're related. As far as I'm aware.
They're not biologically related.
Are they not?
No, I thought so.
Apparently not.
So what's their tie then?
Bow Wow, I think, was just a young rapper, and then he was backstage spitting, and then they saw him backstage rapping at the age of like
you sure?
7. Yeah, I remember I've heard the story. He was backstage rapping. Unless I'm completely wrong, he was backstage rapping. Snoop heard, and then Jermaine Dupri heard, and then that's when they became. But he was definitely death row at one point. But I didn't think I never ever thought he was. I know Ray J's his cousin, but I never thought that.
Okay.
So my fault though.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, Diggy Simmons, you pulled that out. Wasn't Diggy Simmons like a double XL freshman?
Yeah. I think he used to rap as well though. Jojo. Is his name Jojo?
Yeah. Jojo Simmons, yeah.
Bro. I mean, it clearly didn't work out for them.
Yeah, but it's perfect. This is a perfect example. What you saying you rated Corey Guns? His dad was whack. So like when your dad's whack, you're naturally gonna have a bit of an advantage. When
his dad weren't whack.
Peter Guns is whack, man. Peter Guns is trash. But when
he weren't trash, bro.
Said
he wasn't amazing, but he weren't trash. Trash is strong.
You're right. My fault. He was garbage. But my point being, if your dad's Rev Run, if your dad's it's always gonna be. You need your dad to be
Jigger.
No, that's not even fair. Like I'm just trying to think. Like I generally think the higher caliber your dad is, the more difficult. As crazy as it sounds, because you've got all the avenues, you've got all of the stuff behind you. I don't think the greater your parent is, your mother or your father, the bar is so much higher. It's always going to be, it's that double-edged sword. Whereas if your dad's Peter Guns, you could go there and look like the best rapper in the world.
Yeah.
But that's why it might be better for some of these artists. So let's say, for example, and Dino, he mentioned Frisco. I didn't actually realize that Frisco's son rapped, but apparently he does. I listened to a tune of his today, and he's more on the kind of drill wave. It's not as fast as his dad. He's carved out his own lane in that sense. So maybe to circumvent the high pressure, maybe you do something completely different to where it doesn't necessarily like, you're not feeling the pressure as much because you're actually in your own lane. You're not doing what your parent did, sort of thing. So maybe that's a way to kind of combat that.
Mike Jones has got a daughter that sings, and she's dope.
Sure.
There you go.
Coco Jones.
You would know that. Giggs' son, I saw rapping as well. From what I remember, I think Giggs' son's a rapper as well, and they got a song together. But
Prodigy's daughter raps as well?
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything, but I imagine it'd be.
It's going to become more and more. Just the older we get, the older the artists get, it's naturally going to happen
Big
more
Pun's
and more.
son?
He's dope.
Yeah.
For real?
Yeah, he's good, yeah.
Okay, fair dues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's it's a double-edged sword. I don't think there's a right or wrong. I just think it's a double-edged sword with this.
Plus, I feel like, I mean, even if nepotism is an issue or not, I feel like rap is almost too big because of the internet and just because it's worldwide now for anyone to really struggle with, you know, nepotism or nepo babies kind of blocking our path. Because if you put out a hit tomorrow, it could go viral on the internet and you're a star sort of thing. So as far as like nepotism just blocking more traditional routes of success, I mean, the roots of success aren't traditional anymore.
Is it a problem if they don't acknowledge their privilege? Because I think that's typically the issue with nepo babies, where they don't acknowledge the privilege that, you know, that afforded them to be able to be in position.
I think it depends. I mean, if they're whack, then maybe.
No, if they pop, if they really like,
I think they have to see it. If you deny it, you just look.
But would you want them to openly?
Yeah, you have to.
own
Bro,
that?
if your dad's Diddy, you can't come onto that camera and say, well, I had it difficult. Bro, what do you mean you had a studio in your garden? Like, you can't.
I think that's different. Denying your privilege and just not addressing the fact you've had privilege, I think that's different.
I don't expect you to say on every interview, but I expect you to acknowledge you had a leg up. But I don't expect in every interview to be like, yeah, I had it.
So what does that change for you if they don't?
What if they just act like they had it the most? You're lying. To me, it's just you're lying. Like, you can acknowledge what you've got, and also, it took me hard work. Two things can be true. You've got it, you've had it easier, but it's still tough work to be where you are. But if you come and you deny the kind of privilege and the access that you had, then no, it don't work for anyone.
No, I hear that. I mean, for me, I don't know. I don't really think so. I think if I already know, then I don't need you to accept. I don't need you to really acknowledge it, because I know that you know. And I know. So it's not a thing where I'm going to judge you more or less just because I know, just because you're publicly acknowledging it. Like, if it's common knowledge, it's common knowledge. Some things don't need to be addressed if everybody knows what it is, sort of thing. So for me, if like Diggy Simmons, for instance, resurrects his career and comes back and is mad successful and doesn't acknowledge that, you know, he had a leg up even in the beginning stages of his career, I'm not going to be so mad, because I know who your dad is. Like, he's Rev Run. Everybody knows that sort of thing. So it doesn't affect me so much.
Do you think it's easy to be put in position through nepotism here versus the States? And the reason why I asked is because I thought our scene's quite small, which means that the reach is probably easier if you're someone like a Giggs' son or, you know, another prominent UK rapper.
Yeah, I think it's relative.
Sorry, go on.
It's relative to how big or small the scene is, because there's I imagine only a finite number of rappers these days who have kids that are trying to make music. I imagine it is easier to get in certain positions, but it also depends on, like Frisco, for example. Obviously, he's an independent artist. So as far as maybe getting his son in certain positions to get features and, you know, maybe playlist placements, he's probably in a good position for that. But when it comes to other things, maybe not so much. So I think it very much depends on the relativity of how small the scene is.
Do we know any examples of artists that haven't utilised the nepotism?
In the UK or America?
Both.
That haven't used it. Like, they just been...
Yeah. So you might be like, you know, a family member of a popping artist and you just haven't used any of their resources.
And you made it on your ones?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I suppose that's hard to know.
Is that possible?
Yeah, of course. You don't think it's possible?
If your parent is well established in the music industry, it's impossible for you to make it onto the scene without their help.
If I decide, I'm going to become a writer now,
Yeah.
and I don't go via Yemi, then what? And then I make it to a point where I'm respected.
But then I hear you, but Yemi isn't at that level.
Yemi's respected in his field.
Yemi's respected. Yemi can, no.
You got to zoom in on his face.
No, not like that. I'm saying, when we talk about I'm talking about parents that are established in the music industry.
Nepotism doesn't only apply with parents, though. It applies with like family, just any sort of link that can bridge you into some sort of industry. So Yemi would be my nepotism.
No, I hear you, but I think that's different then. In that case, I think when I think about it, I was just talking about people that are there, if that makes sense. Yemi's respected, but
in his field, he's one of them guys.
1,000%. But I'm not talking about journalists when I talk about getting help. I'm talking about someone that's...
No, but I was using it as an example.
I'm talking about rappers more time. I'm talking about rappers or producers or someone that's just...
But what I was saying
I'm
was
loving this moonwalking, by the way.
No, that's what I genuinely meant. That's what I genuinely meant.
But what I was saying was that I was using that as an example to show that it is possible to not use... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're determined to make a name for yourself without the kind of nepotism label or any help from whoever might be providing it, yeah, I imagine it's very easy to. I guess it depends on how you want to make music, the type of music you want to make, the kind of moves you want to make, the type of people you want to meet and connect with, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You could carve out a lane for yourself. You can do all that by yourself. An example kind of escapes me right now, but I imagine it's very easy.
No, I agree. But what I was talking about, for example, is like, say a JoJo, Reverend Son. Impossible that you carve out your own. You carve out your own. It's impossible.
Why? Why do you think that?
There's no way. You've got a studio in your house.
He's comfortable.
There's no way you.
Okay, so after the studio, then what?
It's kick-started it for you already, though.
What, just having the studio?
Yeah, having the studio.
That's not enough, man.
Producers.
That's not enough to accuse someone of like utilizing their nepotism. Nah, that's not enough.
What, having a studio in your house?
Absolutely not,
Well, it's
bro.
more so about building industry
Of course not.
relationships.
I think that's a leg up. But I also think it's impossible. I genuinely think when you're at that level, like, yeah, I think if you're dependent on, I always think it's dependent on who the person on your side, by your side is.
Bro, in this
I
day
judge it
and
like,
age,
does that make sense? I judge it like that. I judge it on the person that's next to you.
in this day and age, it's very easy to set up your own studio, bro. There's Pro Tools. Everyone's
this
doing shit on their laptops.
Bro,
And
but this was
Madlib made
all-
beats on his iPads.
Yeah, but this was it's 06, 05 I'm talking about. Do you get what I mean?
Mhm.
Now, yeah, but back, you can't, I think
I mean, clearly his nepotism didn't get him very far
he's
because
whack.
nothing happened.
that's his music.
So then that's an example where nepotism doesn't always hold weight.
And you mentioned Madlib. Madlib's a good example. Obviously, he's got a brother Ono, and he's a
Yeah.
producer as well and a rapper. You could argue the way they make music is completely different as far as like styles, and it might all be from the same world, but Ono is very much Ono. He's not like Madlib version 2 sort
see
of
what
thing.
you're saying.
So it definitely works as far as being able to carve out a lane and just do things yourself. Like the fact that he raps better than Madlib, I should say, like that helps, sort of thing. It kind of makes him, it stands him out a little bit more than
His own person.
just being Madlib's
Yeah.
brother, because he's he's not Madlib's brother. sort of thing.
I agree. I hear you.
But yeah, I don't think nepotism will become an issue until we get someone that really makes it to like a Drake level and they're not great. That's when you might start kind of shining a bit more of a light on this whole nepotism thing in rap. Until that happens, then... you know
Even
what I mean?
Drake. Like Drake's dad is a musician.
Yeah. He was in Graham Central Station.
There you go.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
can't imagine because
yeah.
it's
And
so
his dad,
different.
his dad, Larry Graham, I think his name is. He worked with Prince.
Why does he know all this?
He's the almanac.
Did you hear what he said? Man said Grand Hoover Station.
Graham
son.
Central Station.
I said Grand Hoover.
Grand Hoover.
Showing this brother.
But yeah, I mean, I guess there's more examples than we can see. Like, obviously, yeah, Drake, he's obviously the biggest pop star. I mean, his dad wasn't making the same type of music. I imagine his dad didn't really go as far as being that industry figure that he, like, Drake could pull knowledge from, sort of thing. Drake more or less did that by himself, I imagine.
Yeah.
So it's clearly very possible for the biggest artist in the world to kind of just carve out a lane for himself, even though his dad was previously a musician.
Sorry, not his dad, his uncle. It was his uncle.
Oh, okay,
his
his
dad.
uncle.
Yeah.
His uncle.
That's fair.
So there's that as well. I had another example. Flying Lotus. Flying Lotus, his
Yeah,
aunt
Alice
and uncle
Coltrane,
were
innit?
Alice and John Coltrane.
Mo, do you know who they are?
Who? Coltrane. You know the person that done that. What's that show called?
Relax, just stop.
What's that show called?
Just stop, man.
What's that show called?
What is the show called?
Soul Train?
Coltrane on Soul Train.
Hey, man.
Oh, Don Cornelius.
Not quite, Mo.
This
Hey,
guy,
what do you want me
man.
to do, bro?
Swing and a miss.
Hey, I tried.
But it's all good.
I tried.
But yeah, I mean, listen, man. I suppose wrapping up, like, I don't think nepotism is really an issue. I think, listen, man, if you can help your family out, do it. If you can give your family a leg up, do it. And then it's on them to actually do with it what they want to do with it and make their mark in whatever way they want to market. So,
Well, if you're going to use your nepotism, be good. Like, be like, good.
You don't think they're good?
They do.
That's my point.
That's the problem.
Like, you don't think when they come out the studio, they go, yo, this
But
was
big
a
up Coi Leray, though. She's doing her thing. She's doing her thing, man.
no, she is.
She's doing her thing, bruv.
She is. She's doing, like, she's got like a top 30 hit now
Yeah,
with that new
she's-
one. She's doing all right. She's
Yeah.
doing all right for herself.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm tempted to listen to the music, but,
Mm.
you know, salute to her in any way. And anyone who's kind of doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Frisco's son, I think his name is And the First.
Mm.
He can actually rap, so, the first, sorry. He can actually rap, so salute to him as well. And to everybody else just trying to figure it out, like the King Combses. And, I mean, do we still have hope for Little Romeo?
Nah, it's over.
Is it over?
It's over.
It's over now.
at least you
move
tried.
Over.
The game's shut down. I'm sorry.
Oh wait, I got another one. Seen as because I thought it was just parents, but it's outside rap. Does Solange count?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she does because
Even though
all-
she's talented.
Yeah, that's my point. Well, respect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's more her dad, because obviously her dad, he was managing Destiny's Child.
But that was after Destiny's Child, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. But as far as like
Her dad got into the
she's
roots.
she's Beyonce's sister, but it was more her dad that was kind of like the guy, because her dad was the one that was managing Destiny's Child and kind of that driving force in a sense. Even though obviously Beyonce is Beyonce sort of thing, and over time Solange has kind of developed her own style and her own like musicality and stuff like that. So I guess it's kind of, while it started that way, I feel like she's kind of growing out of that.
No, yes,
But to add
definitely.
on to that though, if her dad didn't do what he did with Destiny's Child, Solange may not have got the same looks.
Oh, facts.
But also on the flip side, it took a while for Solange to
People take her.
get to a point, man.
Yeah, it took a while.
She had a couple albums out before she got to that point. Do you know what I mean? So
Where it clicked.
yeah,
No, I hear it, man.
yeah, man. Don't touch my hair.
Don't touch my hair. See at the table.
Yeah, man.
I do want to play one thing that I didn't get a chance to when you disrespected me.
Sorry. You know what? Generally, you know what, never mind. Came across worse than it was.
It was wild, man. You
let me
basically
just-
said that Yemi's not Himothy.
No,
Said Yemi's not him, basically.
no, I generally meant as in when I talk about Nepotism, I was talking about more rappers than I was talking about anything else.
But I was using that as an example, though.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's why I said that's my fault. But I was more talking about rappers with the nepotism than I was anyone else, really. It mainly was about.
I'm like, what do you say
producers.
fuck me for?
That's perfect. That is perfect. Why do you say fuck me for?
Well, salute to all the Nepo babies in rap.
Big up Dino as well. That was a dope
Big up Dino
suggestion,
as well. Big
Oh,
up Dino as well.
salute,
Very,
salute,
very
salute.
great topic. And if you want to, suggest a topic or just to get in touch with us about, topics we might be doing, email us, rhymeslikeDimespodcast@gmail.com. rhymeslikeDimespodcast@gmail.com. We will be in touch. I'll let Peter intro this one.
Yeah, Peter, you gotta,
You gotta do it,
yeah,
man.
Peter,
You
you
gotta
gotta
do it,
man.
man. You gotta do it,
Peter, you
man.
got this one.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. They got Fabian. And we were talking about Robert Glasper. He had a show. And I think she went to it. Well, I think she'd seen him before and I'd seen him before. And one thing that we kind of like deeped was that, there's a lot of white people here. So I was curious about like the consumership within hip hop when you go to shows and that, and why artists that make music predominantly for black people attract so many white fans at their shows. So yeah, I just wanted to explore with you, man.
It's a doozy.
Yeah, because it was interesting, man, because Robert Glass was not the first example of that. Like when me and Yemi went to go see Mos Def, same sort of thing. Like a lot of artists that you would associate with being like extremely pro-black, they have like a lot of white fans and a lot of white attendees at their shows. And I was curious about that. I was curious about why you don't see more black people at these shows.
I mean, I've pondered this for ages, man. And I've kind of like, what's been flicking through my head is more of like, maybe white people inherently are just more interested in the rap and in the live aspect of it and just the general, like, that aspect of it more than us. Maybe we're lazy. Maybe we just can't be asked to part with the money or, any of that. I'm kind of in the middle with it. I feel like when it comes to rap, obviously it's a black art form. From the beginning, it was attracting white people. And that was mainly because they were intrigued at this new exotic thing. And as the years have gone by, you can see that white people are very much invested in rap. There are lots of rap fans that'll be able to tell you about all kinds of rap. It doesn't have to be mainstream. It could be underground. It could be alt. It could be left field. It could be anything. And there's just loads of them that are very knowledgeable about it. And that just comes from a love of the genre and a love of the art form sort of thing. And they show it when they go to shows and when they, they buy merch, they buy, CDs, vinyl, all that good stuff. Out of the pure love of it. And then on the flip side of that, I feel like black people may have taken rap for granted because it's ours and because we're coming from a place of authority when it comes to it, we don't have to do as much. We don't have to go to shows. We don't have to, especially in the day of now of like Spotify and DSPs, where you don't have to fork out $10 to $20 every release for the next big album sort of thing. So, you know, you don't have to do that. So because you're kind of more of an authority on it, and because it's just like your God-given right as black people to kind of like be of it, like we don't try as much sort of thing. And I don't like saying that about my people, but that's the kind of feeling that I get about it, especially like, because anytime I go to like, it could be a Mos Def concert, it could be a Denzel Curry concert, it could be anything. There is like black people in the minority a lot of the time. I was at Isaiah Rashad this week. There were a lot of white people. It was probably split, but even still, I don't even know how some of these white people even heard of Isaiah Rashad. I can't even lie to you. So
What about when you went to see Madlib?
Madlib, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was it must have been about 75 to 80% white people.
But Kendrick, I think there was more black people there though.
You think so?
From memory, yeah. It kind of felt that way. Or maybe just where we were sitting.
Yeah. I think yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because even after that, everyone that I've spoken to about that concert has been white. And they were there sort of thing. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like while for certain people, we will step out. For like Drake, for Kendrick, for Cole, I imagine, we will step out because those are the guys. But when it comes to general shows,
we don't step out.
It seems that way. I don't want to like blanket statement it, but it's from my experiences of going to loads of rap shows. There's rarely been a time where we're the majority.
That's heartbreaking though, man. That's devastating, bro. And I'm sure there's a plethora of reasons in it. And I'm gonna put it down to like just the economics. I think that's a huge factor in why you may not see more blacks at these concerts and that, because I can't think of any other reason. Because I think, Yemi touched on some important points as well, man. This art form is ours, isn't it? So maybe there is an element of laziness. Maybe there is an element of us feeling like we don't have to. But for the artist though, man, that must be devastating where you're making music for your people and you don't see your people at these concerts. Do you know what I mean? I can only imagine what that feels like. But I don't know where I sit with it, man. I don't really know. I can't give a blanket statement either on what the reason is, man. I think it's unfortunate though. Whatever the reason is, it's unfortunate that we don't see more of us at these shows.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to get socio-economic with it, black people naturally don't have as much disposable income. We don't have as much financial leeway as maybe other races to kind of do more stuff like that sort of thing. We're kind of, some of us are holding on to every penny that we got, and that means that certain sacrifices have to be made. If there's intention to want to do those sort of things and go to shows and consume as much as you can and part with your money, then great. If there isn't, then it kind of is what it is. So I think there's a whole bunch of things. I don't think there's one right answer. I just know that because white people, especially, and I imagine with white people, there's an element of wanting to prove that they're like rap fans as well, by going to shows, by buying merch and all that stuff and knowing all the words. Bro, there were white people at the Isaiah Rashad concert knowing words that I didn't even know. And I was just like, raw dedication.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's that as well. There's a lot at play.
I'm in the middle of kind of what we both said. Because I'm in the middle of it being laziness and also being the socio-economic stance of it, of us not being able to go to as many. And when I was 18, 19, I couldn't go to concerts the way I wanted to go to concerts. First concert was at 21, I went to go see Rick Ross. So it's, do I have the financial means to go to what I want to see?
Because it's not cheap.
It's not cheap. And I'm not willing to pay a certain amount of money depending on where I am at the time. So I do think it's a case of where if we could, we would, versus us not willing to show up. Yeah. It's a weird one with me because majority of the concerts I've been to, I'll be honest with you, has been black people. And when I went to go see Rick, because I think it comes down to the artist sometimes as well. I think when you look at the artist, it comes down to who it is in a weird way. Like when I went to go see Rick Ross, the majority black people. But then when I went to go see J. Cole, it was a mix of everything.
So you saying the more pop they are?
Yeah, that's literally what I'm getting to. I think, but then it's from what I've seen.
So then how do you explain
Mos Def? Exactly, that's what it gets. But then it's a weird
because even like when I go to, just not keeping it to hip hop, when I go to like jazz shows, bro, like I see mainly white people there, man. Like when I went to go see Yusuf Days, like at Somerset House, like it was majority white people there.
But then-
and I was surprised. I wasn't expecting that.
But then white people make up. What is our percentage?
They're
in
not
this-
the majority though.
in London.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
That's
cool.
what- yes, what's the-
but in the world, though,
Yeah.
they're not the majority.
But if they're the majority, what's the percentage of black people in London?
But the majority of jazz lovers are white.
I don't know if that's true, bro.
I don't know, bro. Think of how long jazz has been around, right? It's been like, what, 160 years? And
God damn.
yeah, New Orleans. And it's basically mutated as the years have gone by. First and foremost, even though it was black people making the music, similar thing to rap, like it was attracting white fans, and sooner or later they became white jazz musicians and all that as well. So I don't want to say it's as much theirs as ours, but by force, it's kind of as much theirs as ours because we kind of.
I knew he was gonna have a problem.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm
But
gonna have
if
to buy it back, man. I hear what you're saying, but I think obviously because like as we continue to evolve, I guess the popular music continues to like evolve amongst black people as well. Jazz isn't that anymore. So I think nowadays you could argue that, okay, cool, you're seeing more white consumers taking in like jazz and that. But back in like the 60s and the 70s and the 50s and that, nah, I don't know if I'd agree with that, you know. I feel like it was still more ours because it was a different time, different day and age and that, and like
We were the biggest consumers.
yeah, man, and we were actually like going to like these jazz bars, and you know, you'd ask a girl to dance to like a jazz tune and that, and these were all like black spots mainly, even though like the whites were trying to do what they were trying to do to us. These were like mainly black spots.
Yeah, definitely wish she had a time machine.
If you hear the way he said it, we'll ask a woman to come up and But
Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, it's a weird one, man. It's a proper tricky question. It's a proper trick because I think it comes down to. I think there's so many elements to this answer. I don't think it's a straight answer. I think there's so many elements to it.
Oh, they
I
definitely
think
are.
it is art, it's social, economic stances. I think it's
Intent
do
as
we the laziness in us, or if we are lazy to go to shows, do white people go above and beyond compared to us?
well. But can we?
But are we talking about in specifically London, or are we talking about the world?
That's where it gets tricky though, because if we're talking if we're not the majority at a concert here, or
because I
just
think we have
anywhere
to. I think we have to be specific, you know.
What's the?
I think we got to be specific because I think, and the reason why I said that is because I'm just thinking about when Tupac performed at the House of Blues, yeah, it would look like it was a majority black crowd.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think we have to be specific. If we're talking about England, then let's just talk about England, innit?
What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about England.
All right, cool. Now, what's the percentage of black people in this country?
I don't know.
It's like 10%.
So if we're not the
I just pulled
majority,
that out of my ass.
if we're not the majority of most shows, and it depends on the demand for white people as well, because they're naturally the bigger population here, like 90% of whatever you want to give them. If there's a bigger percentage of them willing to buy tickets, they're naturally going to sell out a lot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Just
bro,
because of the
but-
amount of buying it compared to us.
so then how do you explain a WizKid selling out the O2 and you seeing predominantly black people there?
That's Afrobeats. I'm talking about just rap.
Is rap still black music?
It's music baby by black artists.
It's black music.
It's black music.
Exactly. So,
I think with WizKid, obviously, because he's.
you know what I'm saying?
I hear you. I just think the pool's different because of how long rap's been
Is
here.
it
I feel
because
like
Afrobeats is still coming
that's
out
what
of
I'm saying?
Africa?
How long? Yeah,
I'd say so.
I'll say so. And how long rap's been here for. So I feel like if white people are trying to go to a show and we're trying to go to a show, just naturally the numbers are on their side.
And that kind of plays into the idea of like rap not necessarily being as much ours anymore. Whereas Afrobeats, you could argue, is still very much ours. And it's not something that white people, or a lot of white people from my experiences, have really like started to invest in, as opposed to rap. So the split as far as like white and black is going to be higher towards blacks than it is going to be whites, as opposed to rap, where I feel like it's maybe not halfway, but it's definitely more balanced, I'd say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if we're all trying to get tickets, they're naturally going to have the numbers on their sides because of the population. Do you know what I mean?
I suppose, but that might be a bit too literal for me. As far as like, yeah, but at the same time, if you want to go to something, you'll make sure you do everything you can to do. I think also was a different an example.
Yeah, but it's
you know what I mean.
it's
Like, he fiended for those
Wow.
tickets.
Yeah,
and he got them. in
but
the
then
end.
if it's that's him and Cleo Soda, man. You know how he is, man.
But that's the same for look, bro. If you know that Kendrick Lamar's releasing tickets tomorrow at 10 a.m. and you want to go,
You're gonna do everything you can.
you will do everything you can to make sure
Depending
you're
on the price, though,
That's
bro.
exactly
Because
what-
them
yeah.
Kendrick tickets weren't cheap.
Of course. But,
Cleo Soul's a completely different price. Completely
I mean,
different
for
price.
some, for you.
Okay, for me, fine. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's different. But something that I just thought about as well is, I guess this, like, as far as us having the majority of white people attending like hip hop shows, probably started happening when our artists started trying to go pop. Because when you go pop, you're aiming for a wider reach, right? You're aiming to go beyond just the black community. So if you're trying to do that, then you're obviously going to pull in like the white people essentially. So why would you not expect more white people at these shows? Because when you've got artists like Eminem coming in and attracting like a whole new fan base, that's obviously going to like become a thing within that hip hop as well, no?
No, I don't think commercial has anything.
You don't think so?
No, because
how can it not?
When you look at it, depends. Because when you say commercial, do you mean the music they're making or them going commercial? Just
them going commercial, just
I thought you meant the
more
music they were
popular.
I don't know, because when I look at, let's say, the Game's first album,
right,
and you look at the Game shows, and it's majority white people.
Even around that time,
yeah. Because I was just doing a bit of research for this topic.
But they're in places like Ireland,
London.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? It's like, or 50 or Game, whoever when they first came out. I just think it's always the minute an artist reaches a certain level commercially, not commercial music, I'm just about commercially.
Yeah.
I think that's when they're going to be the majority.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah, my fault. No, but I thought you meant their music being commercial rather than
no,
them
just
going
them
commercial.
like reaching a whole nother level.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree.
Of course, because respectfully, like you're not going to sell out a world tour of just black people.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. You need to broaden out your base, and that might influence the music you make. It might influence the places that you go, sort of thing. So, ultimately, you got to make money. You got to stake your claim. You got to put your name out there, sort of thing. So that makes sense. Yeah, I guess. How do we feel about like shows from artists that are kind of just like brand new? It could be like a brand new rap artist, and he or she is just getting their foot in the door, their foot wet as far as like rapping and live performances and all that kind of stuff. And you see like a very mixed crowd, maybe majority white people. How do we feel about that?
I think it depends on the artist. Depends on the type of music that they're making as well, because that will dictate whether I expect it.
Feel you.
I don't... Listen, man, I'm always going to want my black artists to be in front of a crowd of predominantly black people, man. That's just what it is, isn't it? But it's just not reality.
Do you expect a majority black audience at a Mos Def concert?
Absolutely.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not to say that there won't be white people there, for sure. But for the brother that made black on both sides, absolutely. Sure, I'm saying. And that's not an indictment on any other community, but that's just what I would expect going to a Mos Def concert. We know what he stands for. We know what he raps about. I would expect that.
But what he stands for...
But then someone like a Pharaoh Monch, I don't expect that. I don't expect that, bro.
I see what you're saying.
I don't expect that, man.
I just feel like when it comes to someone like Mos Def, the reason why we love him is probably why white people love him too. And that's why you might see more of a mixture at those kind of shows. When it comes to people like Pharaoh Monch and maybe like, like a Madlib or, anyone of that ilk, yeah, at this point I expect a mix and I expect us to be in the minority just because I've seen it for so long, sort of thing.
Going to Cleo Soul, I'm expecting there to be a predominantly black crowd.
I mean, if the TL was anything to go by, it probably will be.
That's what I'm expecting. And I'll let you man know how it goes. Yeah. That's what I'm expecting.
I think it don't really... No, I'll be lying. Yeah, it matters for me.
Does it matter?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Matter in what way?
In terms of... I just expect more of us when whatever... Like Daniel will tell you when we went to go see 50. I was walking around, I was like, okay.
I didn't expect that. 50, though.
No, but you expect, whether it's... I don't expect us to be the majority. I just expect more.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? It's just the numbers that lie to me. It's just when I'm looking around, and it's always awkward.
Yeah.
It's always like if I'm with 50 and I'm with 100 white people to my right or my left, and then he starts saying the N-word left, right, and center. Like it's an awkward time.
Yeah.
Like it just is. Like there's no two. That's why Rick Ross was comfortable. Rick Ross was majority Like I'm trying to think who else have I really seen that's like A Boogie. A Boogie was majority black, but I expect that. I'm just trying to think. But certain artists, I know what I'm signing up for. Like 50, I knew what I was like. Cole, I knew what I was signing up for. Captain Conan, I kind of knew what I was signing up for. Dave, Stormzy, I knew what I was signing up for. But it is awkward when it's just when we're the minority, but then you've got songs that are using the word front and center.
I think economics is a huge part.
I
When
think
we went to go see Ayrton, fam,
What was it?
like predominantly white kids.
True.
But is that his fan base as well?
That's
I don't
definitely
think
his fan base.
I don't think
But
that's.
I don't think he makes music for that fan base though. I think he just makes wavy music.
I agree. But I
That
think-
attracts all
Yeah.
types of people.
Yeah.
Which is what I feel like a lot of people are doing now anyway. To your point about wanting to go pop, you got to kind of be a bit more democratic with the way that you make music so that attracts those types of people. And that's how you can make more money, sort of thing.
But
So,
yeah, I expect it with Ayrton though. I don't know, like just his family. I think white people. I don't even want to say they're more. I want to say they're more. They listen. It's a weird one, man.
I think it's similar to how the Americans see people from London. They say that we appreciate hip hop and American music more than the Americans. I feel like you're kind of trying to say that about like white people and maybe underground rap and their attendance at concerts. That's what I'm getting from Mo.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Though. That I just didn't know how to word it, but I'm like we're more close-minded than we think we are. Do you know what I mean? Like me, I'm not me.
there's
too.
loads of
Like, me
underground
too.
white
Like,
rappers.
I don't really listen to. I'm joking. Like I know I'm very close-minded with what I listen to.
Yeah.
Like for better or for worse. Whereas if you get a white guy, he might be able to tell me, yo, this guy's underground, this guy's underground.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like when it comes to white people and hip-hop, they do their due diligence. It feels like it's almost a research piece for them compared to us. With us, it's an arrogance about us. Like I figured out when I was a kid, my mum, my dad, my brother, my sister, I know about this shit. I grew up in this shit. My household was this shit. Whereas with white people, it's more of a research piece. Like, okay, they figured it out. Now let me go 10 steps back and figure out where it came from. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
I feel you. Sorry, I'm gone.
I mean, say what you want about Eminem, like he's a hip hop head.
Yeah.
The Alchemist is a hip hop head. Like those people that appreciate the music and just the music, not just because it's being rapped or sung by black people who are cool. They love the music and the art form. They will show that.
Can I just say something? Sorry.
Of course you
I'll
can.
take it back. It's not the majority of white people. It's the minority of white people. I just figured it out now. I don't think the majority of them. I'm talking about the hip hop heads when I say they go back and do that. I'm talking about a white hip hop head. I'm not talking about a generic, everyday white rap fan.
Yeah.
I don't think they care.
Yeah. And I wanted to add on to something you said about, some black people being arrogant or snobbish. You used the word snobbish, yeah. My snobbery is for everybody. I don't care where you're from, bro.
I agree.
Everyone can get it.
But you are a black snob.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can get it, bro. There are just people I won't talk about with music. I just don't feel like it.
Can you pass your phone for a second?
Like, why would I? Why should I?
Say again.
Why should I waste my time? If I feel like my music repertoire is at a certain level, why on earth would I engage in conversation with,
What?
these mere individuals?
No, but you know what I mean?
No,
though, innit? It's like
I feel you,
we've
though.
got
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've got an air of arrogance about me when it comes to
Yeah,
hip hop, and
yeah,
I've
yeah,
always
yeah,
had that
for
air of
sure.
arrogance.
I've got a video for
That's
that.
what I was waiting for.
One sec.
Do you think that's
I
necessary?
can't do it.
Do you think that's necessary? But like, yeah, we've got an air of like,
Yeah.
like it's almost in our DNA.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's almost in our DNA where I think like the white people at Mos Def concert, I count that as a minority. But the white people at J. Cole's concert, do I expect them to know hip hop the way? No chance.
All right,
Do you know what I mean?
let me throw a question at you, man. Do you think these black artists have a responsibility to ensure that there are more black people in attendance?
They
at their
can't
shows?
ensure that.
I think that's out of their control.
They can't ensure.
You don't think
that,
so?
bro. How can you ensure
What
that?
if they make it affordable?
Then the white people buying up the same amount.
Like when J. Cole did his like sold tickets for like
Dollar,
$1 in it,
Yeah, and ask me who the majority.
little
was.
things like that.
Brother, ask me who.
Could these artists do more?
Of course. They could, but at the same time, I guess we don't really know about the ins and outs of like, let's say if J. Cole wants to do 3 nights at the O2, he can't sell those for £1,
But like
sort of thing.
that pound one is an example because I went to that pound show. Ask me who the majority was.
The whites.
Was probably Asian and whites. Like Asians love Cole. Every time I've been to a concert, Asians, whites, and then us, man.
Yeah.
Whatever the order's going to be. But even like that, for example, Born Sinner was like £45, £50. That's very affordable. It's very
Depends
affordable.
on who you talk
no,
to,
No,
bro.
first person, that
Your
was
money's
mad.
long,
no,
innit? So-
no, it's not. Don't do that. But it was mad arrogant the way I said that. But I'm saying compared to concerts, £40 for J. Cole is, I feel like that's a reasonable price.
Yeah. For Cole,
Yeah, for Cole, I'm just literally just doing it for artists. I think for Cole, £40 reasonable. So my point being, well, when I went there, it was still, that's gonna be, bro. It just is what it is. I think once you get so popular, like you said, I think once you're pop, what's the word I'm looking for?
When you've gone clear.
When you've gone clear, essentially, and you're at your highest peak of popularity,
right.
the majority is always gonna, because of the way we're the minority here. I think the majority is always gonna be the other man.
Plus, I feel like when it comes to rap generally, more and more non-black fans are just casual fans.
Yeah,
You'll see them at clubs, dancing along to music. You'll see them at shows. If there's enough demand among, their friends or, any kind of situation that's compelling them to want to be at these shows, they're going to be there.
100%.
They're not necessarily dedicated fans, but they want to be part of the party. They know a couple songs. They want to rave. They want to vibe out, sort of thing.
It's just how it goes, man. Like Chris Brown was full of them, man.
Also,
it's just-
I think something else that we haven't really said, this black art probably needed to expand beyond our people to become as big as it is as well. So as much as we might love for this black art to only be, specifically at concerts to be received by the black community, maybe that's not fair as well, because it was people from other communities that helped hip hop become as big as it is. Even though we created it, we birthed this thing. You know what I mean? But they've helped kind of take it to another point
By
by being consumers.
I agree.
Is that the reason why it's also fallen off music
Don't do that.
Because so we agree they're arguably the biggest consumers of hip hop,
Okay.
just by population, right?
Yeah.
The music's gone whack in today's society to a certain degree.
More diluted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they to blame?
I don't think that's fair.
Why not?
Because I don't think you can blame white consumerism on the music being dumbed down.
Oh, hold on. Wording it like that, I think you may be able to,
Thank
bro.
you, Peter.
Because
Thank you to hear me. Thank you very much.
no, because
Did I set myself up?
I'm a leave of something.
Yeah,
That's what I meant, though. That's what I meant, by the way. That's what I meant.
yeah, because obviously, as time went on,
Yes.
and the more pop certain people became,
Yes.
the music became a bit more, do you know what I mean, diluted.
That's what I'm trying to
so more artists will see that and want to reach for the same thing. So, and it was these white execs that were, do you know what I mean, creating this structure. In order for you to get to a certain point, you have to make this type of music. So you could argue it.
That's what I'm saying.
You could argue it, man.
Because if we're going to give them credit, we've got to give them the blame.
I mean, there were some black execs that were also complicit in this, but
Yeah, there was some. What's his name?
Well, Leo Cohen and them, man. I think they're ahead of the pack, though.
Well, first of all,
You know
Leo
what I
Cohen.
mean?
Leo Cohen is he is the first one. He is the front of the picket line. That guy there, fam. That guy there's a criminal, bro. I don't like him. I don't like him. Sorry, man. That was a rant.
Mo said.
I'm leaving here with something. But that's what I meant. The way you worded it is literally what I was trying to say.
Okay, I hear that, but I also don't think that's necessarily fair because, again, I feel like it's also free will, right? These artists don't have to make this music. They don't have to.
It depends on what they're after. If they're after money, then they will. And if they're after the art, then maybe they won't.
But then they have the free will to do that, right?
Not if the
But
record label...
and they have to eat, right? So
And it's also, you don't know what the record label's saying. If the record label's like, yo, we're going to drop you if you don't give us something that can
But it's,
resonate with...
it's still your free will to do that.
But it's also your living. So if your record label is telling you, oh, we're not going to support you unless you give us something for the mass audience, with the mass audience being white. And sometimes they might have to conform to live their dream.
That's fine, but they're still choosing to do that.
yeah, it's difficult, though,
But
man,
if
because
they-
it's no different to the crack era and how.
Wait, what?
No, but just follow me on this, man. It's no different from that where the government created these hoods and filled it with everything negative to where your only option is to do negative shit. It's a similar sort of thing. I hear what you're saying because yes, at the end of the day there is that free will, but when you're surrounded by everything that will force you into doing something you don't want to do, you end up doing something you don't want to do.
Cool, but at the same time, the strong will survive. The strong will find a way, sort of thing.
I hear you, but...
There will be people who, despite all of that, and there's numerous examples in hip-hop of that. Numerous examples of people who might have been signed to a label or have always talked about not wanting to because they were going to dilute their music and then just them just being underground or just kind of carving out their own path sort of thing.
No, salute to them. I'm just saying there are some that I think get forced by the label for whatever it is. For whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
I just think if you want to live out your dream, we're going to have to give us something commercial. And it is what it is. And I think Leo Cohen is the head honcho that does that stupid shit.
I mean, he's not the only one, but I feel you.
Sorry, man. I just don't like him, man. He's dumb voice. Damn. I really don't like him, bro.
I mean, if there's another YouTube brunch in London, you're definitely not getting invited.
Okay.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
But yeah. I suppose, yeah, man, listen, it's a weird one. I feel like we could be here all day talking about why we don't go to as many shows as maybe white people. Maybe we're completely off the mark talking about this. Maybe people have different perspectives of it. But it just seems like you can't escape going to a show and seeing more people that look like not you, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Like for me, like the more diverse the better, because it shows that hip hop is transcendent.
You feel like that?
What?
The more diverse show that you go to, the better. Like you prefer a more diverse show.
Not that I prefer it, but it's more so, it's like if it happens, I'm not necessarily mad. It's just something you notice sort of thing.
Oh,
But like I said, hip hop has become so transcendent. As much as it is ours, it's not ours.
No, I agree. I wouldn't say I'm offended.
Anyone could enjoy it, and then everyone should enjoy it. That's what it's there for,
I agree.
sort of thing.
I wouldn't say I'm offended. I'm just more. I notice it. Put it that way. I wouldn't say I'm offended.
everyone
I
notices
don't
it.
care, but it's more. Just we could do better.
I would say it's still ours. I think it always will be.
Oh, this is always going to be us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is 100% because we created it. But as far as
That's
it
not to
being-
say that I'm not, happy to welcome
Guests.
other consumers. I didn't say that.
That's what you're trying to say.
That's not what I said.
That's what you
That's not what I said. I said other consumers. Of course I'm happy to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Different perspectives, different viewpoints, different worldviews. It kind of makes hip hop more diverse, I guess.
As long as there's no mistaking that the shit is ours.
So what are they then? If it's ours,
I don't know.
are they not a guest?
What point are you trying to make here, Mo?
Bruv, you just supposed to say guest.
I was just thinking about that. I'm just like,
Sure, this guy,
that was
right?
boredom. That was nothing but boredom. I apologize.
Yeah.
Boredom on our podcast. Feel
Not
you.
boredom, as in that was nothing but banner. That's actually what I was thinking to say.
Feel you. But listen, man. Salute to everybody that consumes hip hop.
Words, man.
You know, whether you can afford $10 or £10 for a show or $100 or pounds for a show. Either way, as long as you're doing something to help the culture grow and all that as well. So, yeah. Say for the topic, Pete.
Yeah, that was
Salute,
great.
salute,
That was a solid
salute.
topic. Solid topic.
We got Fabian.
salute to
So you got
Fabian.
Fabian. Cool. We got one topic left. And for fun, we are going to, amongst us, because obviously in hip hop, especially if you're making a name for yourself before you release your debut album, if it's a big name and you're, making all the noise in the world, the hip hop world starts to expect certain things from you. And we're just going to go and take it in turns as to who had the most pressure going into a debut album to release it and live up to expectation. Mo, do you want to start?
From 2000 onwards, right?
From the 2000s onwards.
Just for before people start shouting us for not saying Hove. I had three. This is just me personally anticipating. I'm not saying the culture was anticipating it. I'm just saying the three I was anticipating the most just personally. I had Game documentary because I was eagerly anticipating that album, I'll be honest with you. I had Cole, Silent Story, and I had Kendrick, Good Kid, Mad City, based on Section 80, based on Friday Night Lights, and based on the buzz around the game. Those are the three that I was anticipating the most. And only one disappointed.
Which one disappointed?
In hindsight, Cole's one. At the time, it didn't disappoint. In hindsight, Cole's one disappointed. But documentary and Good Kid was, to me, amazing.
Fair enough. I mean, I'd never heard of Game before. Dreams.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
No, I heard him. And I remember there was a big buzz around Game from when I was young anyway. I don't know. Yeah, it just came across to me. And I remember hearing, I'm just like, all right, cool. This is... And it was the 50 Cole sign, the Dre Cole sign. There was so much going around the game that was the one that I was anticipating the most anyway. So those are the top three for me from 2000 onwards.
Fair.
Pete?
I think I misunderstood the question, because I thought we were talking about anticipation or pressure.
Yeah.
Is it both?
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're different things.
Who had the most pressure for their debut album?
Yeah, but pressure is different to anticipation. to me.
Pressure, I'll say Kendrick though. Pressure's number one Kendrick for me. I think Pressure had...
Anticipation that I lived to see Cole's Anticipation was mad for the first album. Kendrick's one was mad. Game's one was mad. 50's one was mad.
Yeah.
Pressure. I think Cole had a bit of pressure, you know.
Cole had massive pressure on him.
Yeah, man. I think Drake as well. Man, because Drake, like, at that time, he was scorching.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he was everywhere. So I think that, yeah, there was a bit of pressure on him to deliver on that first one because there was so much promise that had been shown in it. Anticipation as well. J Electronica for me.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I was
one.
anticipating that for a time.
Yo,
bro.
I forgot. That was live podcast days.
When he dropped no, but even when he dropped Exhibit C, I
Yeah,
was
it's
waiting, bro. Like I was waiting for so long. And then when it finally dropped, I was like, rah, this shit's here, man. Like, we've been waiting for so long. And it's finally here, sort of thing, innit? So off the top of my head, those are the names that, you know, whether I'm talking about pressure or anticipation, they're the names that, I really remember.
J-Lex was a moment in the group chat.
I remember
when he
that.
dropped.
Yeah,
that was a
yeah,
moment.
I remember.
That was a moment in the group chat.
Yeah, I remember that morning, boy. I was late for work.
Oh, bro.
Certain man were up at 6 a.m. listening to this shit.
I was late for work, yeah.
Just reciting lyrics.
Yeah, I remember that,
Yeah,
man.
I had J-Lex as well. I think off the strength of Exhibit C alone, Exhibit A as well, but Exhibit C, you couldn't tell anybody that this brother wasn't the savior of hip hop.
Fam.
So his album, no matter how long it took for it to actually drop, it was always going to be an event because he was just so imperial those times. And even when he did like stuff like We Made It and Ghost of Christopher Wallace and all the other Lucy's that he dropped, it just built up that anticipation.
Yeah.
And clearly built up the pressure as well because it clearly pressured him into, you know, not wanting to release something. So, yeah, I think you can't get as definitive when it comes to pressure as J Electronica, I think. In terms of like anticipation, just because I saw it and I saw the campaign to get it to #1 and just as far as like creatively off the back of all that he was doing before, Stormzy. Stormzy 100%. Like off the back of Shut Up and Big for Your Boots and all that as well. And the fact that everybody was rooting for him to be as big as he possibly could be. Yeah, there was probably mad pressure on Stormzy's shoulders to kind of like see it through. And by most accounts, he did. So, you know, he definitely had some pressure. I'd probably say Dave as well. Similar reasons. He was scorching hot when he released Psychodrama. And nobody knew the kind of angle that it would take. But because he was more or less the star boy, there was a lot of pressure in that regard as well. So,
Do you put Huss in there as well then? See, did you put them two?
not as much, you know.
For real?
Maybe because Huss, as much as he was a name, I'm not sure if the buzz was as strong.
It was post the album, you reckon that's when it...
I think so.
He's a savior.
Because before the album, he had Friendly. He had a couple other things. But it wasn't to the same level. Because with Stormzy, Shut Up, obviously, first freestyle to chart.
Yeah.
Dave had, you know, been building up expectation with a couple EPs and, you know, a couple great songs and videos. I feel like the pressure on them, especially as they were a little bit more visible to the general public than Huss, I think the pressure was more on them.
No, you're right.
What about Chance the Rapper?
Oh my gosh.
What about him?
Was there like pressure or anticipation for that for his first album?
Awful album. Oh my God.
I didn't care for him though.
I personally didn't, but a lot of people did.
P? You know me, sorry.
Yeah, there was. Because, yeah, he had dropped Colouring Book, and Colouring Book won a Grammy for flip's sake. First mixtape to ever win a Grammy. So, yeah, there was probably hella pressure on him as well. And he had to fight off, even before the Grammy, he had to fight off a lot of like industry plant labels because his second tape, what's it called? Acid Rap. I mean, he had been in the game maybe like 2-3 years and he already had features from like Absol and Action Bronson and all those types of people. So the industry plant label had been going around and then he obviously won the Grammy with the mixtape. So it was very undeniable. So the pressure must have been high on him. And boy, the less said about that album, the better. That shit was awful. Oh my gosh. He still hasn't recovered from that. He's dropped a couple good songs in between, like since then, but it was so bad. But yeah, I'll probably say Chance the Rapper too.
Anyone else on a personal level you guys anticipated? Or had pressure for yourselves just on a personal?
I guess Kendrick.
Kendrick's.
Yeah, I guess Kendrick. A$AP Rocky.
AK. Do that.
That's it for me, really.
Nah, I ain't got no one else.
Fair dues. Trying to think, do I have anyone? Oh. Not really. Not really. I was a massive YG fan, so I was looking forward to YG's album. I want to say, I love these albums, to be honest with you.
That's tough to listen to that first album.
I used to rinse YG's first album, like back to back to back. Hit him with a left, right. Yeah, I anticipate this album.
Oh, was that on that album?
Yeah.
Oh.
Left, right. Hit him with a left, right. And he had Bicking
That
Back.
song has not aged well.
And he had Bicking Back Being Bull.
No.
You know how crazy that is? Bicking Back because I'm Bicking Back.
It's cool to say.
What?
It's cool to say.
Bicking Back Being Bull. Nah. Can't tell me no.
I hear it. Cool. Well, before we wrap up, I do want to talk very quickly about another thing in hip hop that's been dividing the community over the last week or so, and it's surrounding a pioneer. Some might call him the godfather of rap, the actual art form of rapping. Melle Mel has been in the news and in the rap community recently, basically just shitting on everyone.
In the gym.
Brother, this guy's 60 years old. He's wow.
Did you see it? Bro, have you seen the video, Pete?
Yes.
This guy's in the gym pumping iron. Look here. Nah, salute to Melle Mel.
He is wham. Tonk for the older aficionados amongst us.
Say tonk.
Tonk, bro.
He was like, wasn't he like the first like GOAT?
Yeah.
He was the first GOAT.
He is the godfather of this
He
shit.
rapped arguably, I'm not saying this is my opinion, but arguably the greatest hip hop song ever in the
Broken
message.
glass everywhere. Niggas pissing on the stairs, but they just don't care.
Arguably the greatest hip hop song ever. Arguably great. And we mentioned Coi Leray earlier. She sampled the message in the new single. I think it's called Players or whatever it's called. But Melle Mel basically went on a platform, I think it's called The Art of Dialogue.
Yeah, they're dope. That's a dope platform. It started off as a 2-pack channel and then it's just become other stuff.
Yeah, they were right to do that.
That was unnecessary.
I know, I'm sorry. But basically, he was responding and being interviewed about basically Billboard, the beloved rap magazine Billboard, did a list of the greatest rappers ever to celebrate 50 years of hip hop this year. And it was all over the place. Can't even lie to you. Check it out in your spare time. Actually, we'll leave a link in the description so you can check it out. And Melle Mel wasn't very happy. Among the many things that he said that Eminem is only at number 5 on this list because he's white. He called Nicki Minaj being ahead of Rakim on the list blasphemy.
God bless him.
He said Lil Wayne's voice is unknown because he uses auto-tune. He said Tupac is greater than Jay-Z. He said Busta Rhymes is one of the most complete in the game. And generally just not being very happy. And it divided hip-hop. 50 Cent called him a hater. Chuck D used an analogy to basically refer to Melle Mel as Wilt Chamberlain. And he basically said that, we should just let Melle Mel be Wilt Chamberlain. And I imagine Wilt Chamberlain was very bitter about, the respect that he was getting in his lifetime because, more and more people overtook him as far as relevance and importance, even though he set pace for a lot of things.
Yeah.
And Melle Mel seems to be the same way. And a lot of people mentioned when Method Man went on the Math Hoffa podcast, right? And he told a story about Melle Mel basically not really acknowledging Method Man, and Method Man was very perturbed by it, saying that, you have a lot of people here that love you. Stop being like this. So, is it just a case of another old head being bitter? Or does he have valid points?
He's got valid points.
I haven't watched the whole video, so I don't need to cut you off at all.
No, go on.
I haven't watched the whole video. The points you just made, I don't think he's wrong. Nicki Minaj ain't better than Rakim. Eminem ain't top 5. Busta is one of the most complete. Where did he lie?
I suppose, I'm not saying he lied, but I suppose the wider context of him not being very graceful generally.
I don't expect him to.
But he's been known for that though. He's always had a reputation for just being very like an old head, innit?
But then,
do you know what I mean? He's never really like bitten his tongue about how he feels about the rappers that came after him. He's always considered himself to be like the greatest.
yeah, but then
Do you know
if
what I mean?
it's...
And a lot of them old man, that's what they're like, man. They still want that respect. They still want to be held in high regards. I mean, what happened in New York when we, do you know what I mean? When we were gonna meet, who that shall not be mentioned.
Wait, we can't mention him?
Do you want to mention him?
DJ Cool Herc.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
What happened?
we'll
talk about that a lot after.
Yeah, we can tell the story, man. But Yeah, man, it's no real surprise. Like I've known Melle Mel to be a bit of a hater, so I'm not really shocked.
So I guess, I mean, now that you said that, I feel like it's a bit of both then. Because if he has a history of being a bitter old head, then that's just who he is. Was he making valid points? I mean, I suppose so. Like, the Nicki point especially, Lil Wayne I thought was...
That's hating.
That's a bit harsh.
That was harsh.
Yeah.
That was harsh. The Tupac Jay-Z thing...
He's right.
I just feel like Jay-Z's been getting it a lot recently, man.
Can we...
How so?
No, it's been...
There was a video that said that there's never been a year where he was the hottest rapper.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
And everybody...
Spice One said he doesn't have a greater album than All Eyes on Me.
That's a lie.
And Lil Wayne said he's better.
That's a lie.
That's fine. Wayne can feel that way.
A better rapper.
He can feel that.
A better rapper.
He can feel that.
All right.
I don't agree with it, but of course he's
one
well
of the
in
elites. Yeah, he's one of the... I see what
touch.
you're
He
saying.
can feel that way.
But Jay-Z's been getting the left, right, isn't he? Right.
I feel like he's been getting bashed crazy.
He's getting bashed crazy because...
Bro, when you're number one, come on, man. You're going to get crazy, right?
Yeah. But, it's just, but don't downplay his... Now we're just getting into...
What, Melle Mel?
No, as a Jay-Z, people are just now downplaying Jay-Z's career.
Who's doing that?
On Twitter, bro, it's a lot. It's a lot, I'll be honest with you.
I mean, the video that said there's never been a year he was the hottest rapper, I feel like that's downplaying a
That was an interesting video, though. It was bullshit, but
it
was interesting.
I think the card on this in for me was saying that Ludacris was hotter than Jay-Z the year that Jay-Z dropped the Blueprint.
Yeah, that's wild.
But he knows people weren't...
Which, by the way, is better than All Eyes on Me. In my opinion.
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
Yeah, with Melle Mel, I think it's a case of both. I think he's got every right to be an old bitter hater. I think he's got every single right. If you're Wilt or you're Kareem, and then someone says Jason Tatum's better than not even Jason Tatum. Say someone says, just trying to think. Say you got who's a point guard from back then? I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Say you're John Stockton, and then someone goes, "Yeah, I'll take." I'm trying to compare. Just an average point guard ahead of someone that used to be a point guard back then. You're going to be like, no, you're not. Just because Rakim is so elite. So when you're giving a list and you've got Nicki Minaj ahead of Rakim, this list was a joke from what I remember. I feel like they had Cole top 7.
That's not his issue though, bro. His issue isn't the facts.
Is it not that they're shitting on old heads?
Yeah. It's like, so the more that you propel someone like a Nicki ahead of Rakim, the less you're gonna like see Melle Mel. I think that's what I took from it.
And does he not have the right to be there,
so he's I won't say he's clutching at straws, but he's attempting to kind of hold on to like what made him great in the first place, isn't it? To ensure that his name is always mentioned.
But hasn't he got a right to feel like that?
But I also
yeah, of course. Like he's responsible for the first wave of how them man started to rap, innit? Do you know what I mean? So
and I suppose because it's Billboard and the Billboard is a pop music magazine, if a casual rap fan sees that list, they're probably going to take that as gospel, which means that Melle Mel's voice and Rakim's and Kane's and KRS, all these people, they fade further into obscurity because of that. At the same time, though, if you're bitter towards people, and that's just your default setting when it comes to the younger generation, I mean, a lot of that problem is you, my friend.
yeah.
Like, cool, like, maybe they should show respect. And cool, they're reaping the benefits of what you built. But ultimately, you were around in your era for a reason. They're around in their era for a reason. You can't blame them for that.
Yeah.
And you can't be bitter towards them for that. That's how the gap widens.
True.
You got to welcome him with open arms.
But I don't think it's just his positioning on the list that he has an issue with, because
No, he had an issue with the general list.
Yeah, he had an issue with the fact that Busta Rhymes isn't seen as like the Busta Rhymes is number one to him. Do you know what I mean? So it's clearly more about just the integrity of the list.
The list is a joke. Nicki Minaj at 10, Drake's at 8, Eminem's at 5. I'm just looking at it. It's a joke.
I don't even like.
Eminem, that's valid, I feel like.
Eminem's the
Rap
most
skill and the fact he's the highest selling rapper of all time.
Eminem's not in my top 5, but
M's
that's
not
just
top
me.
5, man.
Fair enough, but I think you
Even-
could argue, you
even
could
in
definitely argue it.
Even in an objective list, I don't think M's top 5.
I don't know, man.
Bro, I don't know if he's top 5, man.
In terms of totality,
Yeah. An objective list?
I think you could definitely
You
argue
think
it.
M's top 5?
You could definitely argue it.
Well, he's closer to top
You
5
could probably argue it. But you lose the argument.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot on his side.
Yeah. No, but
He's got classics, he's got the rap skill, he's got the sales,
Longevity.
he's got the
though?
impact.
you don't have the
They
longevity.
ain't got longevity.
You don't have the longevity.
That's a big part of it, no?
He's got somewhat of longevity.
It's a conversation, man.
Yeah.
It's a conversation. Innit?
I suppose it depends on what you mean by longevity, because he's still making music. Even if it's not good music, he's still making music. He was.
Then I don't count. I don't care about that.
But
longevity
he was still
for me.
here and there. Like, when did he even drop?
Like, longevity don't count to me if you're making whack shit at like 47 years, 56 years old.
But he was still.
And you're just like doing it.
He had a few. He was about post 2010s for a while.
With him.
Yeah, he was here when he had that song with Rihanna. Lived. He had that.
It wasn't good music.
You didn't live the way you lie.
Absolutely not.
For real.
Why would I?
I used to love that song.
God
I
bless
can't
you.
tell you what it really is.
God bless you, man.
That flew over my head. But yeah, I think you could argue it. But yeah, I mean, he had a problem with the general list. I don't think it was necessarily his ranking within it. It was just the general list. And I feel like he's more than entitled to it. But people are also more than entitled to call you a hating ass hater.
I just don't understand why we continue to give these lists any attention, man.
If we can't
It's
help
fun.
it. We can't help
There's always like uproar, man.
it.
Like,
We can't
It's
help
fun.
it's just opinions, right?
it. Yeah, but we can't help it.
Yeah, we're
It's
gluttons.
Billboard isn't a hip hop mag.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
But we're gluttons for
Pete,
outrage.
let me ask you a question.
Talk to me.
You're a rapper. You arguably started this.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know who done this for Billboard, but let's just assume they're white people.
Right.
A group of white people make a list.
Right.
Are you not going to bone out? You.
No.
On some...
No.
Bro, I think knowing you, I think you would.
I mean, I think it depends on the type of value you put
When
on
I
the
know
list.
that I influence like the greatest.
You're going to be annoyed, bro.
No, I won't.
I think you will be annoyed. I definitely think you'll be annoyed.
I wouldn't be annoyed. Not at all, man.
Alright.
I mean, salute to Melle Mel. Listen, he's entitled to feel how he feels. But I don't know, man. I feel like we should approach with caution when it comes to these type of conversations. The way sometimes they go, it can come across as hating.
Yeah.
So you I mean, if that's how you want to feel, then fine. But don't expect people to either listen to you or respect you because of it.
It's tough, innit? Because if you're straight talking, it's gonna sound like you're a hater when you're not really being a hater. You're just telling the truth or telling what your truth is.
True.
So
Yeah.
Very true. Cool. That will do it for another episode of Rhymes Like Dimes, episode 87. Another episode in the books. Thank you, boys. Any shout outs you want to make before we take the people out?
Cleo, so
Oh my God, he said that.
can't
with
wait
bass.
to see you, man.
When is the show?
May 28th, I think.
Whereabouts?
I think Hammersmith.
Isn't it Royal Albert Hall?
Is it Royal Albert Hall?
Where is it?
I mean, unless the second one's at Royal somewhere else.
Yeah, I think it's Royal Albert Hall.
I was gonna say, bro.
Can't remember. Yeah.
That would have been
But yeah, I can't wait for that.
that would have been a downgrade.
Yeah, man.
But that would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, give us a blow by blow of the
Oh yeah, definitely. Man.
He will.
of the racial.
Don't worry, I will, I
mean,
will.
I don't care about the performance. Salute to Keo Soul.
No, he's gonna tell
I'm
us.
a fan,
Yo,
but I was more.
He's going to tell us.
Of course, I
Of
will,
course he
man.
will. He'll give us
A
blow by
full
blow.
review,
She
man.
came
Coming
in
in for a full
she
review.
came in
I mean,
floating.
I was more referring to the racial makeup.
He's going to tell us everything. She
Let
came
us
in
know.
floating, what she was wearing, what she smelled like, what her hair
Floating.
texture was like.
I would love to hear Peter's list of singers that float. I'm sure it's a big one.
Yeah.
Erica's the only
Erica's
one on
the
that
only
list
one.
right now, man.
Cleo might
Cleo's
be.
Cleo's
capable.
gonna-
might be
Yeah.
after me. Cleo might be after me.
Cleo's capable, man.
Hey, fair dude.
We'll salute to Cleo Soul.
Yeah, man.
Mo, any shout outs?
No. Actually, nah, easy.
I want to shout out Hit Boy and The Alchemist because they basically made a tune together where they each hopped on each other's beats and rapped over them. And it was fantastic. It's called Slipping Into Darkness. It released this week. Check it out. Hit Boy basically did a Kendrick Control verse where he called out a lot of producers that don't
Saw that.
produce by themselves and are part of teams, and he's the only one that's producing by himself and all that kind of stuff. So he's taking his claim. So it was great.
Because Fing tried to send for him as well, innit, behind the scene. Young Berg. Obviously changed it to
Hitmaker.
Hitmaker.
But Young Berg tried to send for him, innit? I was like, I don't hear him in the radio.
He called out Southside.
Yeah.
He
And it-
called out, I think he called out Metro as well.
Yeah, he was like, I don't hear these guys on the radio.
Yeah.
You see what Young Berg's head's gone to, fam?
I mean, he's making those. I mean, I
He's
haven't
not
heard him, but
touching Hit Boy.
of course not. But he makes a different type of.
Yeah, he gets
Yeah, I
in
mean-
there, man.
But Hit Boy could do that as well with his eyes
That's my
closed.
point, yeah, man. Like, what are we doing here?
Feel you. All right. And salute to everybody listening. Salute to everybody watching as well. Thank you very much once again. If you want to get in touch with us, like I said before, whether it's to suggest topics or just chit chat, rhymeslikeDimesPodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at RhymesDimesPod. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Take care, stay safe, stay blessed, and peace.